Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Get Them Words In. Today is going to be a quick and dirty version of Show Don't Tell. I know, it is the cliche writing advice that everyone is given way back from when they started creative writing back in middle school to like now. Everyone tells you show don't tell. Show don't tell everything, and it's right most of the time, and it's important to know when to do either. And the best description I've seen, the best description to date, because there's lots of different versions where people will say almost the exact same thing. Writing blogs especially were horrible for this. Writing Tumblrs were really bad for this because everyone would just kind of copy each other, and that wasn't like coming to a consensus. That was just, copying each other. It was making this homogenous kind of blob of writing advice, which is not what you want. But the best one I heard was that you show emotion and you tell setting. And that can seem like an oversimplified thing, but what you don't ever want to do in your writing to convey the kind of powerful emotions that tie people to your work, that get people to imagine what it's like to be in your character's shoes and in their skin while they're reading it, to see if they could be that character and really kind of embody the, if you want to call it escapism or anything like that. The best way to do that is to show emotion without telling it. You can say that, a girl was really sad about something or really happy about something, but describing how the tears of joy or sadness descended her cheeks and onto her book, as she closed it in whatever emotion she was feeling. Those kind of details allow you to get deeper, and they draw your reader in because they're things that they can tie to their own emotional experiences. Where you want to contrast that is all those details is telling the setting of this kind of thing, because an adequate or like exhaustive explanation of what the bookshelves behind the person looked like does not actually help the reader get into the emotion unless they have like a connection to the specific things you're listing about a bookshelf. If you were to describe the setting behind me, and he's like, he had a NaNoWriMo helmet and a Mimic figurine on top of his Brent Weeks books with an almost complete set of hardbacks of The Wheel of Time, like a niche audience of readers, specifically fantasy readers, and writers, specifically self-published writers, would get all those things, and maybe like the D&D guys for the Mimic. A niche audience is going to understand those things and be like, yes, I understood that reference. Like they're Captain America on, what was that, Avengers 1? I think that was Avengers 1. They're going to understand that, but it's not going to tie them in. They're not going to be like all of a sudden in my chair, in my writing cave, trying to, type out the next American, great American novel. That's the kind of difference between show versus tell. And when you tell setting, yes, it makes it real by describing kind of what's going around them. But what makes it real for the reader, because they're the ones who are getting affected by the words, whose emotions are getting, sparked and flared up by the words, it's by showing those emotions in ways that they're going to be able to tie to emotions of their own. Not everyone feels the same way when they cry. So describing emotions with kind of descriptive words is going to kind of hamper that. But showing what those emotions are doing to the person, everyone's going to see, feel similar emotions in that regard, because like everyone knows what it feels like to have a tear come down their cheek. Everyone knows what it's like to be like just seething with rage if they've been mad before. Everyone knows what it's like to just be depressed and be in a funk and kind of like sit, or lie down on your room, just stare at the ceiling. Everybody has those things. And so when you can describe what's going on to the person without actually using like depressed or sad or angry or happy, that kind of stuff, what you're going to do is give them an entry point to get locked in, and then you telling about what the setting is, the room, the time, the date, the special event, all that kind of stuff. The telling around that kind of encompasses that emotion that you've shown through your descriptions of what's happening to the person, and the words you leave out are going to be the actual things that are happening. You don't want to say she was sad. You want to show how she was sad, and you don't want to show that she was in her room. You want to tell people that she's in her room so that you can kind of like build that world for her to be sad in. And that seems like a kitschy and kind of campy thing, but that's kind of the description, or that's kind of the definitions that I use, that you show emotion and that you tell setting. and that you kind of have those interplay. A great rule of thumb, again, it's kind of shared in a bunch of different places, is that you want to do like 3 or 4 sentences of showing and then a tell sentence, and then 3 or 4 sentences of showing and then a tell sentence. And unless you're doing dialogue, and unless you're adding kind of like tells to the dialogue, that you really want to keep that 3-to-1 ratio kind of where it needs to be. And you can play around with it a bit, but what you don't want to do is have like giant 8, 9, 10 sentence paragraph of show and then in her room, like this tiny little sentence. So you need to kind of balance those out, and the information you get with the tell is much more, pound for pound worth it than the information you get with the show, because it doesn't rely on the ability of the person to have had those emotions before. The showing of the emotions is how you get a multitude of versions of that emotion to kind of convalesce at your writing. That you get a multitude of, and in this case we've been using sadness, so a multitude of sads to all kind of show up in a sympathetic way with your character. The tell, everyone will know if they know those English words, what you mean when you say like oak bookshelf, when you say, hardcover book. Those are like concrete, hard-hitting like details that allow you to kind of make that concrete wall around those emotions. And the emotions inside need to be kind of more drawing, so that they can get the one person who doesn't know how, to bitterly weep, but knows how to savagely cry, that kind of thing. That's what you're trying to do with the whole show versus tell thing, and that's how I try to do it with my books. And that's a good kind of rule of thumb. You're going to find 1,000 of them online, so I encourage you to kind of write down what makes the most sense for you and try it out. See if the writing works. A great way for any of these writing tips is to write something short that tries to use that, and then get feedback and see if it works. If it works, add it into your toolbox, as Stephen King says. Add it into your toolbox of things that you know how to do, the show versus tell thing. Quick update for the channel as we're doing this. All the videos for Rural, the audiobook chapters, are up where I read them to you guys. And we will be doing the second book, Urban, probably before the end of October. Maybe I'll have it for, a Halloween gift to put in your bags for Halloween night. We'll see. It's definitely a Christmas book. So maybe we'll do it towards Christmas, because it's kind of Christmas. There's Christmas in here. There's lots of snow. It plays, and this is like snow, frozen North Saskatchewan River, Edmonton High Level Bridge. It's a cold book, but I think you guys are going to like it. So that is the plans for so far, for what's going on with the channel so far. And show, don't tell, how to do that. Hope you guys have a great day. Get them words in.